What's up, everybody? This is Colin Dijs. I'm here today with Ross McFarlane, and we have a very interesting topic for you all. How to make money with affiliate marketing. Exactly what you don't want to know, but what you need to know. So let's start a little screen share for you guys. Because basically the main topic of today is a very harsh lesson for most of you who want to start with affiliate marketing, the route that myself and Ross are following, which is basically paid advertising on scale. The question we often get a lot is, what does it take to make 5, 6, 7, 8 figures a year under this business model? Well, it only takes one thing, and that is money, right? In this business model, it takes money to make money. Under the scenario where without ad spend, this model doesn't function, right? So we have basically a list of priorities that we need to follow, right? And the list basically you have complete influence over. So there are certain things that you can do. There are certain things we do not recommend you to do if you want to make money with affiliate marketing, right? Back in the day, I started small. So I started with a budget of $1,000 a month, and it took me about 8 months to get everything off the ground to 100 grand per month. Obviously, at that point, I already had advertising experience through drop shipping and all these other methods like print on demand. And most of you might not be in the same position, right? So one of the priorities that is important is obviously cash, right? We've made many videos on this channel about it in the past. How much cash you specifically need is based on experience, traffic source, vertical, and anything related to what you're trying to do. I would say the minimum amount would be $1,000 if you want to give yourself proper room. If you're trying to follow the path that we are currently focused on in terms of native advertising, you're thinking more about 2,000 or even 5,000, right? The question will always be, how much money is enough money? And you literally never know. Let me pull out the sketchpad. Oh yeah, guys, we're going back to the sketchpad.
The famous sketchpad.
It's back. Oh, hang on. Let me pick up this one, because the graph actually that I can sketch for you, like if this is basically, I messed that one up. So if this is time, right, and this is money right here, a lot of people just assume it will go like this, right? Which I think is quite normal. The more time you invest over time, the more money gain you'll have. So let's say you're 1 month in, then you are, let's say, a threshold of 500 bucks, right? That might be the case, but what the actual model will look like through experience is that it goes by campaigns, right? So it will go like this, or probably it will even go like this, right? You'll go negative in terms of the money, and then it will go like this, up. And this is the point where most of my clients sign with me when they have their first big campaign, they have some money to invest. And then I prep them for this moment where it goes down again, right? Because it will go down 100%. Maybe it's not as significant, but then you climb up again and then it goes like this. And then before you know it, it goes down again. So what happens is, because of these waves, right, these new highs and sometimes small highs, the line will look like this, but across each of these X points. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense. Yeah.
So
Each time you get a little higher.
Yeah, so it's not like on the bump lines, because the downward spirals are pulling it down, right, the line. But you'll still get to that initial 10K mark. So I would say, right, the 10K mark is very important. So on the goal list, I would definitely put 10 grand will be the initial struggle. As soon as you get to that point, usually 100 grand is next, right? Once you get 10 grand per month, you get that traction. One thing which I think the more experienced entrepreneurs don't have, but the common people will experience this as a big problem, is tax, right? Running a business, you need to pay tax. Tax over revenue, tax over profit. It depends on where you live. If you do not account for tax in your cash flow at the end of the business year, whether that is a calendar year or any business quarter, you'll have tax problems. And if you don't want any problems in any country, I would say, it is with the legal entity in your country which covers the tax, right? Whether it's the IRS or any country has such a service that collects tax, especially business tax. They give big fines, big interest. Yeah, so cover this. Yes, be prepared for it. Now, The question is, why does it take money to get money? Because you obviously have ad spend. To be able to operate on this ad spend, you only need one thing. And that's why the metric of time is extremely important. You cannot operate this model without having the knowledge on how to do things, right? And you basically have two options when you draft out this period. Either you make the period longer, right? And what I did is I didn't invest any money in courses. Well, I did, but I did for dropshipping and stuff. So for affiliate marketing, I never bought any course, which meant that it took quite a long time. I didn't invest that much money. It just took a long time before it kicked off, right? And if you would invest more money in the start, the kickoff might happen faster or not, right? So either you buy time, or if you, for example, have a busy day job and kids, you probably want to buy time, right? And if you don't have these things and you're a student, you have enough time, so you don't want to invest, you just want to drag out the time, right? So whether that's 8 months or 12 months or 24 months, that's the real question. Also, a difficult one then. So we have ad spend, skill, and then patience, right? Because that's one thing nobody wants to hear. And I'll make a calculation in a second, but the ad spend is obviously quite interesting because this is money that is being recouped at some point. I hope everybody knows what that means, but it will come back. So let's say we start at $100 a day, right, which is already a significant amount of money. With a pool of 5,000 bucks, you know, how long can we run? 50 days, right? This one divided by this one. 50 days, of course, I'm correct. So this is spent per day, and this is days, right? So now what happens is, in the initial, let's say, 50 days, right, when you're running, let's say you won't have any return. What happens is you do not lose all the money, right, as people like to say, you invest all the money. You will recoup, let's say, 70%. So what happens then in that scenario, the 70 goes times 50, right? And you basically did not lose 5,000, you lose only 1,500, right? But can you imagine what kind of details you consume over 50 days? That's almost 2 months, Russ. That must be a lot, no? If you're actually running the campaign consistently. You go at least through the testing phase, you go halfway into the optimization phase, maybe it's even 2 campaigns, not even 1. And you are continuously engaged with the process. Now, if you would do 200 a day, it would only run for 25 days. So if you are on a monthly budget, you will not make it throughout the month, right? So things like, so here it says cash, but let me just define it as cash flow, is very important. For my Inner Circle project, which Ross is also in, I sent out a video the other day, which was time value of money, right? You guys all watched it. See, I've watched it completely. I used to get this in university, and it's extremely interesting how these things work, especially when working with ad spend. Do you spend money now? Is it worth the investment or not? How does things change with interest rates? And the other one was net present value, right? Which is this one, which is really nice. I watched this one in the gym when I was doing cardio. It's a very simple, basic explanation, and it looks quite difficult with this ratio formula, but it is super simple. And I really enjoyed that. Why? Because it gives you insights over your cash flow, right? And this might already sound very complicated. It's not. These are the basic things. However, if we make a hierarchy, your goal is important, but in practice is the least important part, right? It's cash flow and ad spend. Then you'll hover and craft your skill. And your goal, tax, and patience are at the bottom, right? Because patience and goals, that's something that will have to consistently be there, but like subconscious. And tax is just the burden that we all have to carry, right?
Of life, yes.
That's unfortunately what it is. But ideally, what you would do in such a setup, when we know that it takes money to make money, you need to be in a state of mind where you're basically okay with potentially losing that money, right? Because that is business. Business functions at this. So let's say here we have a guy which is not in business, right? A little cross. And here we have a guy which is in business. So the only difference between these two people is the risk tolerance, right? So we have basically, this is risk, really fucked up, risk, see, risk. So this is the risk tolerance here is high and the risk tolerance here is low. This money is up. You can either lose it or you can grow it, right? Two ways, depending on the actions you take. That's why business is great, right? Because it's risky and you can make money or lose money depending on the actions you take and all the 100,000 other metrics that are involved here. This person has literally no risk, but they will also not make any money through other activities than their day job or red race, which is guaranteed income. Guaranteed income that they could have invested because their boss, so there's like a dozen employees all here at the bottom that basically come from this pool and have a boss that works like this, right? Where money makes more money. Okay, so the question is then, yeah, let's say you work a normal day job in a tier 1 country. You get, I think, let's say 2,500 US dollars. I think that's a good amount on average, right? Now you have to subtract all your expenses and shit, right? But let's say you are actually working in a business, right? There's an operational business. This is not like somebody with a side hustle. There's like a full functioning business. Okay, so 2,500 is your cash flow to invest per month, right? So then first thing you do, an average month is how many days?
30.
30 cash, 2,500. So the cash per day, at least ad spend per day, right?
Yeah, just over 100. Under 100, yeah. I'll just let you stick to the maths.
Yeah, just under 100 because otherwise it had to be 3,000, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm teaching.
Yeah, true.
So on the question is, right, the question which also comes a lot, which is I think important. Ross, how long do you think on average it takes on the investment ratio to receive a turnaround point where you no longer have negative days consistently? When you would say a media buyer, right? They join the coaching project or whatever, we work with a specific time frame. And the question is why? Well, because within that time frame, the turnaround point comes, right? So the turnaround point is basically the point where the axis on the overview, they turn the other way. So if this would be, then you would go negative first, always, because especially if you need to make an investment for some kind of product or whatever. But even if you don't, you will have ad spend, right? Ad spend will go up, it will go down, it will go up, it will go down, it will go up. At some point, you'll just be consistently over here, right? And that's like all profit right here. And then sometimes maybe you go down by making mistakes. So this turnaround point, which is basically here, right? Or even here, where you may basically making the consistency. How long in days would that take, do you think?
90 days?
90 days would be the right answer, yes. So 90 days in this scenario, you know that basically everything is times 3, right? Basically. So in that stage, you will not spend 250 a day, you would still spend 83 a day, but you need a total cash flow of 7,500. If you would be adding to the pool consistently, it makes a lot more sense because if you would have this in 30 days, then what happens is the budget becomes higher, 250 a day. Does that make sense? And I think spending 250 a day in 1 month, you will not be able to learn the same as spending $83 a day in 3 months. You will learn so much more for less money. Again, let me repeat this. You will not learn the same amount on 250 a day for 1 month as $83 for 3 months. You will learn so much more here. And the patience is so important, right? Patience is something that in a society where everything is fast, everything from pornographic content to Instagram, to TikTok, to cars, to everything has to be better, beautiful, faster, bigger, stronger, more magnificent, more money, you know? It is very hard to step on the brakes, to slow down the system, right? There's a question I ask myself all the time when I see people, especially in this industry. Let me just stop the screen share for a second just to explain it properly. When I see people in this industry running campaigns, I ask them basic questions. Why is this happening? Do you understand what this means? How does this work though? If you cannot explain it, you don't understand it, right? even if you would explain it in like normal terms, how things happen, even your own words, right? That's what I mean. It's not like a perfect example from them to me, but let's say I would ask, like, how does a blacklist work though? Like my account manager put in a blacklist on the campaign. Well, how does it work though? Yeah, I only need 3,000 a month, but why though? Right? What is the breakdown? Well, I don't know. I think 3,000 is fine because you said it in your video. Yeah, but what's your situation, right? If you don't understand that concept or you cannot elaborate on it properly, that's why asking why is my favorite thing to do, even with you, Russ, and with Michael, of course, but also with the other guys. I'm just like, why? All the time I want to know why. Because I want to know that you know what you're trying to ask or say. Right. And not just like, oh, I don't feel like I know this. Let me just say something just to say something.
Yeah.
Which is
tell
like,
you what you want to hear.
Yeah, just to prove a point that you know what you're talking about, although you don't have a fucking clue.
Yeah.
Then you better just ask, like, take off your ego and just say, I don't know what I'm talking about. Can you please answer it for me?
So
Right?
true, yeah.
You know that one thing, the problem with the postback, right? It's coming back right now. The thing is, of course I know what this problem is. Yes, but it's your patience, and I know you have the skill to solve that problem, then solve it. And if after 1 or 2 days of analysis you still can't find it, of course that will help. But the patience and the goal still needs to be in the solution-based mindset, because it's not difficult, in my opinion, but I have a lot more experience.
Of course, yeah, and all these things that a lot of people don't understand is touching back on what you say with this industry as well. It's filled with a lot of hype and a lot of bullshit and a lot of Ferraris and a lot of, hey, come and join my course and we'll make you a millionaire within 3 days. It's like, it's instant gratification bullshit, when realistically, when you break it down, anyone who's made it has took a lot of hard work. And people coming in, they'll come in with this connotation that they see online, and it's such an emotional attachment to the money. It just blurs their vision completely, and takes the emotional attachment towards that, takes it away from the actual learning the fundamental skills, like you say, which is the most important part. Like, if you learn the skills, like, you're self-sufficient, you're self-sustaining. No one can take that away from you. It's like,
right.
That is always.
But it's crazy on that level, where, for example, you have programs like Love Island, X on the Beach, and what happens is the young generation becomes less loyal, right? Becomes less. That's basically the same effect. And I would say, don't blame the TV, don't blame the marketers, because they're just doing their job, right? They're selling advertisements. That's their job, same as our job, right? So if somebody buys keto pills and they don't work, it's not my problem. The problem is on the ethical equation, how far you want to push it, right? And again, you come back to skill, right? What are your values? What do you think important? What is the goal? And then you just do what works for you. But I think that 90-day period is perfect, right? Because everybody in a tier 1 country can afford this type of money. If you cannot, you're a lazy cunt. Simple, right? If you have 4 kids, you're a single dad. Yes, there is a way to make an additional 2,500, which I can show you right now. But then it's like, I need to feed the kids. I don't have a babysitter. All these excuses, right? And I don't have 4 kids, and I'm not a single dad, right? But I know I will get a lot of shit for it. You're just a lazy prick, right? Because your kids can be playing and you can do this work from the computer. But the question is, with all these kids, are you able to work 12, 14 hours a day? Yes, you are, but you just don't want to. That's like 2 different things. Not impossible. You know, I dreaded my life in the call center. It was one of the horrible periods of my life. But I did spend 14 hours a day there just because it made good money and I was great at sales, right? Which then I invested that money to buy courses for dropshipping and print on demand to just sustain that system. And then affiliate marketing, the ad spend came from this. And then I could quit after like 4 months, right? But I stayed there for 8 months just so I made sure I'd never have to go back there. And that's, I think, difference from like a consumer perspective and like a business perspective.
Yeah.
Where they say, you know, either here you are a business owner and here you are an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think when it comes to priorities, like just touching back on what you said there, it's like when a want becomes a need is when the mindset shift changes. Like, people say they want it, like, oh yeah, I want this, I want that, but like when you put it to the test and then you really want it, like, That's the difference, isn't it?
That's the thing. And you know, you see all these motivational videos like, do you want to disappear for 1 year? Do you not want to go out? Do you not want to drink? Do you not want to do this, do that, do that? Literally, the people spend 1 month of partying. That's the same thing I did in the last 5 years, right? They do it in 1 month, what I did in 5 years. But the reason is I have, I don't want to say 1,000, 5,000, maybe 10,000 fold their amount of money, but there's a reason for that, right? I just love what I do, so I'm not going to complain or anything, but the sacrifice is very important, but it will not feel as a sacrifice as long as all these things are aligned, right? If all these things are super coherent, let me give it a better color. If all these things are super coherent, you'll just flow through the process, right? This process, and you'll live the day by day, right? So let's say you are trying to make it through, right? And this is like, let's say day 1 to probably 1,000, so 3 years, yes? This line will go mad crazy, right? It will go like this, you'll achieve your first high, like this, then you'll get like hella good relationships, then this kind of be.
That looks a little funny, but I remember being up there, if that makes any sense, but yeah.
So it will go like this, then you will get a high, then go down, then like you will get a huge spike, like this, and then you will go like stable, like this, and you stay profitable and whatever, right? So while you're doing your day-by-day process, so it will take a year before you get your big break. You get maybe like, here's a 10K month, right? Here's a 10K month, but let's say your 150K month, it will take 1 year before you achieve that, and then it will go down. It will take like a year or 2 years before you achieve it again. And this profit, right? This is all profit. So in this scenario, while you're here, you need to be thinking here.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I see often, what I experience myself as well, is when entrepreneurs, people who are here to grow businesses. I'm not here to make money just for me. I'm here to make money for everybody who works in my business and try to do it as effectively and efficiently as possible, right? Because that's how we sustain growth. To grow for business, it even takes more money. So affiliate marketing, it takes money to make money. Growing a business is just like one big trash can on fire, and you just throw money in it trying to grow this business. It consumes a crazy amount of money. But at this stage, what is important is that you don't become delusional, right? Because you cannot keep looking 3-5 years ahead, because things are happening right now. The decisions you make right now, the days become the weeks, become the months, become the years in terms of your structure, right? Again, it goes back to priorities. What is the goal? And you know, there are a lot of entrepreneurs who like to spend their money. There's a lot of entrepreneurs who like to invest, and there's different types of people. And what I know for a fact is that the entrepreneur that just minds their business, right? You have a Lamborghini. I'm happy for you that you have this. You are still trying to make it. I'm also happy for you because you're trying to do what you think is correct, right? And there would not be any judgment there, because if you would have that judgment, you're delusional, because you're thinking here while you're here. So this is like a mad joke. It has never happened before, right? But if you can envision this and visualize it, it will actually happen. So now coming back to the reason why it takes money to make money, let me just remove this, because that was the main topic, obviously, which I think is quite interesting. Is basically that this graph, right? Especially when it's like down here, the bottom where it's dark, you will rake in quite a bill in terms of the ad spend trying to land. So let's say, let me sketch out. So this is 90 days, yeah? So let me do day 1, then until 90. Make a cool summary for you guys. Okay, so this is 90 days, yeah? And let's say you are here, ad spend. Here's your knowledge percentage, yeah? So probably the ad spend is $83 per day, right? So every day we basically add $83. So the sum of this is 7,470. So basically the next day you'll spend this 7.5K. You can just see that's what you needed for 3 months. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so let's say you learn 0.5% per day. Yeah, so let me put this to the format of percentages. Okay, fuck. 0.5% per day. So then we would say this plus 0.5% gives you 1%, right? Okay, so at this stage, what you'll see, this is the whole point I want to make. Yeah. Now you invested 7.5 thousand. Yeah. So which we assume you would recuperate about 70%. So you would lose at this stage, potentially lose, you know, this is just theory, $2,241. Right. But you only know 45% for all the things you can know. Right. So now I would say probably it will take around 40%. I think that's a good mark of knowledge to be able to create consistently profitable campaigns. But the turnaround point is day 80 to 90, a 10-week window, a 10-day window where there has been 70 days of consistent effort before this. And I can tell you all fuckers and cheaters, you guys won't make it a full 90 days. Yes, there will be days off, there will be days slacking. There's no consistent effort for 90 days. So for most of you, if you do not have an accountability person, a coach, somebody else, your parents, your spouse, putting consistent pressure on you, it will be more like 120, 180 days, right? Because like, I don't feel like doing this. I went to the gym, a holiday, Christmas, Easter, blah, blah, blah. You know, church, all these different things that you can think of. However, you only need the 40%. So if you put in consistent effort fast enough and spend the money and not afraid to do it, then the turnaround point will come. However, this is 0.5% a day. What I truly believe is that after this stage, it doesn't go to 0.5 per day. It goes to like this. Oh, fuck. Right? It goes like this. So your growth, basically, we can drag it out like crazy. Your growth will be like this. Yes, it will take literally years. Let me drag it out to see how far we go. Need to go to like 600 or something. It will literally take years for you to be able to accumulate enough knowledge, because you will repeat the testing and optimization phase many times, right? Things in the market will go very slowly. So after 2 years, you'll be only at 42%, right? To learn. So literally, to get to 100%, you'll never get there. If you are at 50%, you're probably 5 years in, and you only know 50% of what you could know, because you're either good at bidding CPC or you're good at bidding CPM. If you're good at bidding CPC, you'll never do CPM because it makes less money. But then you don't know about all the changes and updates continuously happening with CPM. That's why it's so difficult, and that's why knowledge is so valuable, and people pay a lot of money for knowledge, because according to the system. Does it make sense?
Yes, lots of sense. Yes, and this is just like a straight talking thing. This is kind of like, this is not like a hype video. People just want to see like fastest way. This is
probably what they don't want to know.
Yeah, this is
what they don't
real.
want to hear.
This is real talk. This is like the real shit that people need to see and need to know. It's like, this shit takes a long time. You know what I mean? Like a lot of hard work, a lot of humility, a lot of discipline. And
let's say you have fun, because it's not always bad. Let's say you have fun. You know, you like what you're doing. That's also important. You know, you enjoy what you're doing, and in the best case scenario, you make a lot of money. In the worst case scenario, you learn a lot, right? Then you can never lose. According to this system, the more knowledge you have, the better it goes, and the better it could go. But you know that 40% knowledge is only required. So you just need those beginner steps, and then you can make your own theories, your own adjustments, and then the growth will be slow and steady, right? But you need to stay consistent, and when it comes back to priorities and what you want to do. So, you know, this is not a guided path or anything. There's so many different things you can do. But just consider that with affiliate marketing, just off this example, you know, we're talking not tens of thousands of dollars, but we're not talking $100. You know, if somebody comes to me and say like, oh, I have $200, what should I do? Get a fucking job. You know, it doesn't matter where you're from. Oh, but sir, I'm from India, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. You know, it's like the structure is still the same. But probably native advertising is not the smartest thing to do. You rather work with pop or push with such a relative small budget, right? Although for you, it might be a lot of money because of your economic purchase power, right? But it all comes down to this at the end of the day. We need to be spending to get the knowledge, right? Or to I'm saying knowledge here, but when it comes down to a day-to-day campaign, it's obviously buying the data, right? You're buying the data, and that data we make decisions on. So if you do not have the data, so that's basically, let me see if I can remove the Loch Ness Monster off the screen. Yes. So this is ad spend, yes. In return, we get data, yeah, which gives us a decision, yes, because there's no emotional decision making here. This is just a decision. Decision performs an action, yes. So let's say cut a placement, scale something, and that makes us money. This is literally it. This is basically the CPA marketing practice. This is just like how it goes in a little square. Money invested to data. Data lets you make a decision. The decision performs an action, and that turns to give you money. And if you have this is a theory, of course, but this would be like the perfect circle, right? But it starts with money and it ends with money, right? So the truest quote of the day is that it takes money to make money, right? And
Yep.
of course, you know, there will be tremendous mistakes. I was just explaining Russ this morning on like a 27, 40 grand mistake. You know, sometimes it is not consistently profitable. Sometimes there will be periods of downtime. Just make sure that every time a block falls off your roster, you know, roster, that's funny, eh? A block falls off the roster, that you basically continue adding it on the other side through your skills, you know, and just
Yeah.
keep building out that system, and you can control it to the extent. The reason I love affiliate marketing is because you basically need two things: knowledge and money to make more money. And at some point you cannot make infinite amounts of money, but I know a lot of entrepreneurs, hundreds if not thousands, like personally, that have used affiliate marketing to build the business they want. For some of that software, for some of that real estate, for some is that still affiliate marketing. But less than 1% of the super affiliates, after 5 years, they're still a super affiliate. They take their money and they do something else. The only thing is, because it takes a lot of money and it carries a lot of risk, right? So we go back to the risk example. If you need to spend large amount of money, advertisers not paying, affiliate networks not paying, there's this continuous risk that you do not always want to take on your plate. Other than that, because there's such an adventurous business model, there's a lot of excitement, and the opportunity is huge, right? But just keep in mind that the money has to come up front, the money has to come first, and you risk in losing it all, just like any other business opportunity.
True. So true. I think like the biggest takeaway from me, or what I would want people to know, is like if you do get involved in this business model, which is fucking awesome, it's if you can take the emotion away from it and have a mindset of every dollar spent is a dollar invested and not a dollar lost, then it's a completely different mindset coming into it. Like, yeah, you're going to have your good days, yeah, you're going to have your fucking bad days.
As always.
As always, they're always going to be there, but the consistent discipline over a period of time, like, don't cry to give up, cry to keep going.
But it's obviously easier said than done. I think we
of
can
course,
say that a thousand times, right? So it's not a big deal if you're struggling. You know, we've all been at that stage, but then surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals, especially here on YouTube as well, just having a chat with people in the comments, asking questions, sharing some thought patterns can already be extremely beneficial. Then you have like Facebook groups and other things. But then again, don't mix with the people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. That's the other side. But that's a whole different topic, right?
Yeah.
I hope everything is clear. This is a very good topic to talk about. Perhaps we'll talk about it again in the future. Thank you, Russ, for being here today. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And we'll see you guys in the next one.